Welcome back to this First in Focus. Mr. Jafferji, an interesting question. Must I invest in the Colombo stock market right now?
Yeah, my simple answer to you is yes, because looking at you and you look at your age, you will probably have 25 to 30 years more before retirement. You need to invest in equities because over the long term, they will give you a superior return to all other asset classes. And with an aging problem in Sri Lanka, you will be less reliant on social services and the government caring for you when you retire. So therefore, you have to create your own nest egg on which you can live on when you retire. And therefore, you have to have not all your eggs in the equity basket, but a significant proportion of it in equities.
Let's talk about the investor, the local investor who regularly invests in the Colombo stock market. How safe is it to invest at the CSE?
First of all, unless you have some appetite for risk, you shouldn't be investing in equities. Because equities themselves, the sheer nature of them, are volatile. Day to day, prices change, and these are driven by random events. So if you are unable to take a loss, you should not invest. But most of us have a risk appetite. It's not that we invest all our money in equities, that you should have some exposure. If you are young, you probably need a greater exposure, 30, 40, 50%. And if you are able to handle volatility and that you can meet your liquidity needs, that you have an income source, then you most definitely should invest, especially now since prices have come down significantly and there are true values in the market.
Will the Colombo stock market tumble further? We saw the manner in which the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was all negative numbers that came out from the CSE. Now you invest the money, will it come down further, Mr. Jafferji?
The simple answer is it could come down or it can go up. Timing is a very difficult game that nobody has been able to time a market. But what we do know is that valuations have now come to a point where prices have come down significantly to their true intrinsic value. Now, ascertaining intrinsic value is not a trivial thing. Nobody gets it right. That's why you have a market. But my sense is that after being bearish 15 months ago, I am now increasingly turning bullish.
What is going to be the future as far as the CSE is concerned? 19 years in the industry. Tell me.
I think the best years are yet ahead of it. That we have had a few bad eggs, that we have to deal with these bad eggs. The second is that there are systemic problems that we have to fix them. And if we do this, the market will do well.
Exchange rates, how do you view that? Are the current market rates, the dollar increasing rapidly and the rupee depreciating further? How do you view this in terms of growth and future as far as Sri Lanka is concerned?
So there are two things. One is what is happening to the dollar and one is what is happening to the rupee. Now all Asian currencies, many Asian currencies including the Indian rupee is depreciating against the dollar. So the dollar is strengthening, even it is strengthening against the euro. So that is going to definitely have an impact on the rupee. Now we have had a 22% depreciation of the currency, and for a long time our currency was overvalued. Now it's very difficult for me to predict where it will settle because the markets are going to determine that, and the markets were not allowed to operate previously. So there's a lot of uncertainty. But I can tell you that coming from a business house that has significant amount of exports, after this depreciation, our competitiveness has significantly improved. And therefore, going forward, it's not going to happen immediately that you cannot turn on the export machine in 2 months or 3 months. It will take many years because you have to build new capacity, new factories, expand capacity. I think that the export competitiveness of the country is going to improve going forward.
What is the message you have for the Sri Lankan government, the Securities and Exchange Commission at this point of time?
My message is to be a little bit more thoughtful. Don't have knee-jerk reactions because putting band-aids are easy. That we have to carefully analyze problems and get inputs as much as possible from all market participants and come up with more robust solutions. That will ensure that these kind of problems will not happen going forward.
Your organization is a stockbroker, basically, JB Securities, 19 years in the industry. Tell me, Mr. Jafferji, what is the message you have for the investor in Sri Lanka? Must they invest at the CSE or else must they take their money out?
First of all, let's look at it from the country perspective. the median age in the population is 32 years old. This median age is going up by 1 year every 3 to 4 years. So we have a significant aging problem. Right? So the middle person in the population in 20 years time is going to face a huge retirement hurdle, and therefore they have to have a big nest egg set aside to be able to fund their retirement, because the government is simply not going to be able to cope with so many more people having old age dependency. Now equity as an asset class gives you a return or a superior return over the long term, and if you enter at this point where you have good valuation, it should pay off in the long term.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Jafarji, for joining us right here on Biz First in Focus.